November 30, 2018, Brooklyn, NY, USA. Brooklyn Nets point guard D'Angelo Russell, 1, plays the ball against Memphis Grizzlies shooting guard Garrett Temple, 17, during the fourth quarter at Barclays Center. Mandatory credit. Brad Penner. USA Today Sports. Brad Penner. The Brooklyn Nets, on a month-long hot streak, are now talking about being in playoff contention in the crowded Eastern Conference field. The Nets should be able to rebound from a rare hiccup when they host the Atlanta Hawks, 12-28, on Wednesday. The Nets return home with 12 wins in their last 16 games since blowing a 23-point lead and losing to Oklahoma City on a Paul George buzzer beater on deck 5. At that time, the Nets were 8-18 and on an 8-game losing streak that featured 6 single-digit losses and 10 losses in 12 games after losing Karis LeVert to a foot injury. Since then, they have climbed within striking distance of .500. A win on Wednesday would give Brooklyn, 20-22, its best 17-game stretch since also going 13-4 from March 9 to April 8, 2014, when a veteran team rebounded from an awful start and won 44 games. "We want to go higher, higher, higher," Nets rookie forward Rodion Skurek said. "As high as possible." "The vibe here in the locker room between the guys is just great. We're hyped up. We want to win and we want to go the playoffs." Brooklyn is coming off a 2-1 road trip. Greater than read more. Copyright 2019 by the Associated Press. Nets beat Hawks 116-100. 0 hours 1 minute and 25 seconds. Nets showed their maturity as a team, coming back from their largest deficit this season to beat Hawks 116-100. New York, AP. The Nets already showed they can fight their way out of tough times, having left an 8-game skid behind last month. So a 19-point deficit certainly wasn't going to deter them. D'Angelo Russell scored 23 points, Ed Davis grabbed a season-high 16 rebounds, and the Nets climbed out of their early hole to beat the Atlanta Hawks 116-100 on Wednesday night. Brooklyn Nets guard D'Angelo Russell hits a three-point shot during the first half against the Chicago Bulls at the United Center. Patrick Gorski, USA Today Sports. The Brooklyn Nets, on a month-long hot streak, are now talking about being in playoff contention in the crowded Eastern Conference field. The Nets should be able to rebound from a rare hiccup when they host the Atlanta Hawks, 12-28, on Wednesday. The Nets return home with 12 wins in their last 16 games since blowing a 23-point lead and losing to Oklahoma City on a Paul George buzzer beater on deck 5. At that time, the Nets were 8-18 and on an 8-game losing streak that featured 6 single-digit losses and 10 losses in 12 games after losing Karis LeVert to a foot injury. Greater than read more. Boston Celtics guard Kyrie Irving drives the ball against Brooklyn Nets forward Rodion Skurek in the second quarter at TD Garden. David Butler. USA Today Sports. Kyrie Irving returned after missing 2 games with an eye injury and scored 17 points to lead 8 players in double figures as the Boston Celtics beat the Brooklyn Nets 116-95 on Monday night. Jason Tatum added 16 points, and Al Horford, Gordon Hayward, Marcus Morris and Marcus Smart each scored 12 for the Celtics, who won their third straight game. Rodion Skurek led Brooklyn with 24 points, Spencer Dinwiddie had 15 and Kenneth Faried scored 13 with 12 rebounds. The Nets lost for just the 4th time in their last 16 games. November 20, 2018, Miami, Florida, USA. Brooklyn Nets guard Spencer Dinwiddie, 8, dribbles the ball against the Miami Heat during the second half at American Airlines Arena. Mandatory credit. Jason Vinlove. USA Today Sports. Jason Vinlove. The surging Nets will face another major test on Monday night. Brooklyn, one of the hottest teams in the NBA, heads to Boston to square off against the Celtics in a matchup of playoff contenders that was hard to fathom prior to the start of the season. The Nets, 20-21, have won 3 straight and 12 of their last 15 games to climb into the 7th spot in the Eastern Conference standings, just 4.5 games behind the Celtics, 23-15, who are in 5th place. Los Angeles Lakers small forward LeBron James shoots against Brooklyn Nets small forward Rondé Hollis Jefferson and point guard D'Angelo Russell during the fourth quarter at Barclays Center. Brad Penner, USA Today Sports. The Nets will play LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers twice in China next preseason. It's an honor to help celebrate basketball's growth abroad, and represent Brooklyn and the league on an international stage, Nets guard Caris LeVert said in a press release. The Nets have a connection to fans all over the world, and I am thrilled to have the opportunity to visit China and play for our passionate Chinese fans for the very first time. Brooklyn Nets guard D'Angelo Russell hits a three-point shot during the first half against the Chicago Bulls at the United Center. Patrick Gorski, USA Today Sports. D'Angelo Russell scored 28 points. DeMarre Carroll had 20 points off the bench, and the Brooklyn Nets beat the Chicago Bulls 117-100 on Sunday for their third straight victory. Allen added 19 and 6 rebounds as the Nets improved to 12-3 in their last 15 games, matching their best 15-game stretch since moving to Brooklyn in 2012. Zach LaVine had 27 points for Chicago, and Bobby Portis scored 17 in 20 minutes off the bench after missing 7 games with a sprained right ankle. Chris Dunn added 16 points. Brooklyn Nets guard D'Angelo Russell moves the ball against Atlanta Hawks guard Trae Young in the first quarter at Barclays Center. Nicole Sweet, USA Today Sports. Brooklyn Nets coach Kenny Atkinson likes to use his reserve players liberally, and in the last 3 games, the second unit is producing significant numbers. On Sunday afternoon, the Nets visit the Chicago Bulls, and Atkinson is hoping to get continued production from his reserves. Brooklyn, 19-21, heads into the halfway point hovering near .500 because of its performance in the last month. Since an 8-game losing streak from November 21 to December 5, the Nets are 11-3 in their last 14 games. Read more. January 4, 2019, Memphis, Tennessee, USA. Brooklyn Nets guard Joe Harris, 12 passes as Memphis Grizzlies forward Kyle Anderson, 1, defends in the first half at FedEx Forum. Mandatory credit, Nelson Chenault, USA Today Sports. Nelson Chenault, Memphis, Tennessee. AP, D'Angelo Russell had 23 points and 10 assists. DeMarre Carroll added 20 points, including a season-high 5 three-pointers, and the Brooklyn Nets beat the Memphis Grizzlies 109-100 on Friday night. Joe Harris added 18 points for the Nets, who had 6 players in double figures. Spencer Dinwiddie scored 13 points, and Jarrett Allen had 12 points and 12 rebounds, including 5 off the offensive glass. Mike Conley, held scoreless in Wednesday's loss to Detroit, led the Grizzlies with 31 points. Jaren Jackson Jr. added 19 as Memphis lost its 4th in a row. November 30, 2018, Brooklyn, NY, USA. Brooklyn Nets point guard D'Angelo Russell, 1, plays the ball against Memphis Grizzlies shooting guard Garrett Temple, 17, during the fourth quarter at Barclays Center. Mandatory credit, Brad Penner, USA Today Sports. Brad Penner, before the Brooklyn Nets embarked on a hot streak, collapsing down the stretch was a key aspect of several losses. One of those instances was at home to the Memphis Grizzlies on November 30. 5 weeks after an excruciating double overtime loss to the Grizzlies, the Nets head to Memphis on Friday night looking to maintain their momentum. Read more. October 19, 2018, Brooklyn, NY, USA. New York Knicks forward Kristaps Porzingis looks on during a second half timeout against the Brooklyn Nets at Barclays Center. Mandatory credit, Noah K. Murray, USA Today Sports. Noah K. Murray, forget about Kevin Durant or any other big-time free agents. The Knicks need to be careful they do not lose Kristaps Porzingis this offseason, per Stephen Bondy of the New York Daily News. Re-signing the 23-year-old is no sure thing, and the Nets could potentially be the team to pry him away, because the Knicks decided to forego an early contract extension with Porzingis last year. He will become a restricted free agent this summer. Brooklyn Nets guard Allen Crabbe on the bench in the third quarter against the Atlanta Hawks at Barclays Center. Nicole Sweet, USA Today Sports. Nets guard Allen Crabbe, who last played Dec. 12, will be re-evaluated in 1 to 2 weeks after the team identified the source of his sore right knee. team said Crabbe has a bruised fat pad, which has caused the 26-year-old guard to continue to feel pain and soreness despite being able to practice last week. Nets head coach Kenny Atkinson said Brooklyn does not expect Crabbe to undergo surgery, however they will determine Crabbe's next steps after his re-evaluation. January 2, 2019, Brooklyn, NY, USA. New Orleans Pelicans forward Anthony Davis, 23, defends against Brooklyn Nets guard D'Angelo Russell, 1, during the second half at Barclays Center. The Brooklyn Nets won 126-121, mandatory credit, Noah K. Murray. USA Today Sports, Noah K. Murray, New York, AP. D'Angelo Russell had 22 points and 13 assists, and the Brooklyn Nets built up a big enough lead with a 73-point first half to withstand Anthony Davis's monstrous return to the lineup, beating the New Orleans Pelicans 126-121 on Wednesday night. Davis finished with 34 points and a career-high 26 rebounds after a one-game absence, but there weren't enough rebounds to get in the first half, when the Nets opened a 24-point lead during their highest-scoring first half at home in 17 years. Joe Harris added 21 points for the Nets, who had 105 points through three quarters, then got consecutive baskets by Harris when New Orleans trimmed the down to 7 with under 5 minutes remaining. Brooklyn Nets forward Jared Dudley and guard Spencer Dinwiddie and center Jarrett Allen react in the first quarter against the Phoenix Suns at Barclays Center. Nicole Sweet, USA Today Sports. Besides containing Davis if he plays, the Nets will attempt to return to their winning ways after a lost weekend in Charlotte and Milwaukee. Following a wild 134-132 double overtime win over Charlotte, the Nets followed it up with a 13-point loss in Charlotte on Friday and a 129-115 loss in Milwaukee on Saturday in a game when they trailed by 26 in the third quarter. The Nets rested D'Angelo Russell and reserve Ed Davis but lost Rondé Hollis Jefferson to a strained groin in the first quarter. Hollis Jefferson may sit out Wednesday, but coach Kenny Atkinson said earlier this week that he did not think it was as bad as the left groin strain the forward sustained in a charity game in China in August. "It's not a pull, it's not a tear, it's a strain. So that's good news," Atkinson said. "I can't give you a timetable, but it's not a huge, long process like he went through in the off-season. So I'd say the news is positive in that sense." December 21, 2018, Brooklyn, NY, USA. Brooklyn Nets head coach Kenny Atkinson yells at referee Tony Brothers, 25, during the fourth quarter against the Indiana Pacers at Barclays Center. Mandatory credit, Brad Penner. USA Today Sports. Brad Penner, Milwaukee, AP. Giannis Antetokounmpo got turned away early but made the clutch plays late. One of the NBA's most dynamic dunkers shook off a rare rejection and helped the Milwaukee Bucks turn away Brooklyn's attempt to rally from a 23-point deficit in a 129-115 win over the undermanned Nets on Saturday. Antetokounmpo had his third triple-double of the season with 31 points, 10 rebounds and 10 assists, while Chris Middleton scored 29 points, despite a quad injury. The Bucks, who have won 3 straight and 7 of 8, extended their NBA best record to 25-10. Brooklyn Nets guard Spencer Dinwiddie drives past Cleveland Cavaliers guard George Hill in the first quarter at Barclays Center. Wendell Cruz, USA Today Sports. Milwaukee, the Bucks will try and close out the year on a high note when they play host the Brooklyn Nets Saturday afternoon in Milwaukee. Back-to-back victories over the Knicks by a combined 30 points gave Milwaukee wins in 6 of its last 8 games and 8 in the last 11. As a result, the Bucks hold a slight lead over Toronto for first place in the Eastern Conference. The addition of Brook Lopez over the summer is a big reason for Milwaukee's success. A somewhat unheralded signing during the annual free agent frenzy, he's been a rock in the Bucks' front court, not to mention lethal when he has the ball in his hands beyond the three-point line. December 28, 2018, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Charlotte Hornets guard Tony Parker, 9, drives in against Brooklyn Nets forward Jared Dudley, 6, during the second half at the Spectrum Center. Hornets won 100-87. Mandatory credit, Sam Sharp USA Today Sports, Sam Sharp, Charlotte, North Carolina. AP, Kemba Walker scored 29 points and made 7 three-pointers. Tony Parker had 17 of his 19 points in the fourth quarter, and the Charlotte Hornets avenged a double overtime loss to the Brooklyn Nets earlier this week with a 100-87 victory on Friday night. Jeremy Lamb added 19 points and Cody Zeller had 14 points and 10 rebounds as Charlotte improved to 13-7 at home. D'Angelo Russell scored 33 points on 13 of 24 shooting for the Nets, who lost for only the second time in the last 11 games. Brooklyn Nets guard D'Angelo Russell moves the ball against Atlanta Hawks guard Trae Young in the first quarter at Barclays Center. Nicole Sweet USA Today Sports, Charlotte. The Charlotte Hornets hope to extract revenge on the Brooklyn Nets in the same manner that they did on the Chicago Bulls earlier this season when the clubs meet in a rematch Friday night. The Nets shocked the Hornets 134-132 in 2 overtimes Wednesday night, getting the winning hoop when Charlotte's Malik Monk fumbled the ball in the final seconds to Brooklyn's Joe Harris, who turned it into a tie-breaking layup. Great fight, Nets coach Kenny Atkinson assessed after the game. We lost the game 3 or 4 times. Brooklyn Nets guard Allen Crabbe on the bench in the third quarter against the Atlanta Hawks at Barclays Center. Nicole Sweet USA Today Sports, Nets guard Allen Crabbe is working closer to his return from a sore right knee that has kept him out of Brooklyn's past 7 games. He's pretty much healthy and now we've just got to get him some 3-on-3 time, scrimmage time, Nets head coach Kenny Atkinson said, according to the New York Post's Brian Lewis. Unfortunately we're not practicing a ton, so as soon as he gets his game rhythm back we'll throw him back in there. I'm not going to give exactly when. We've got to see how that progresses. He's healthy, but needs to be in a return-to-play protocol. I don't think it'll be very long. October 24, 2018, Cleveland, Ohio, USA. Brooklyn Nets forward Joe Harris, 12, celebrates a three-pointer during the first half against the Cleveland Cavaliers at Quicken Loans Arena. Mandatory credit, Ken Blaze USA Today Sports, Ken Blaze. After Brookie Ellen's first double overtime victory in over 2 years, the Nets closed 2018 winning 9 of their last 10 games, defining a new standard as the hottest team in the league. Joe Harris poured 27 points, making 11 of 14 field goal attempts, including the game winner as the Nets showed no mercy in a wild and wacky 134-132 win over the Charlotte Hornets. On Wednesday at Barclays Center, Harris went 5 for 8 from three-point range with 6 rebounds, 2 assists and a steal. Spencer Dinwiddie scored 37 points, just 2 points away from matching his career high. The guard went 7 for 16 from beyond the arc, adding 11 assists and making 12 of 29 field goal attempts. December 26, 2018, Brooklyn, NY, USA. Charlotte Hornets forward Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, 14, goes up for a shot and is fouled by Brooklyn Nets guard Spencer Dinwiddie, 8, during the first half at Barclays Center. Mandatory credit, Andy Marlin USA Today Sports, Andy Marlin. The Nets got off to a slow start then clawed their way back for 34 points in the second quarter. Spencer Dinwiddie erupted off the bench for 37 points, helping Brooklyn rally into double overtime during a dramatic back-and-forth final quarter in the 134-132 win over the Charlotte Hornets on Wednesday at Barclays Center. Greater than box score. Things to know about Wednesday's Game 1. Joe Harris scored 11 of 14 field goals for 27 points while D'Angelo Russell and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson poured 16 points apiece as Brooklyn won for the 9th time in its last 10 games. 2. While the Nets made 19 of 48 three-pointers, Charlotte shot 15 for 31 from beyond the arc. Harris went 5 for 8 from three-point range and Dinwiddie went 7 for 17. March 21, 2018, Brooklyn, NY, USA. Brooklyn Nets guard Spencer Dinwiddie, 8, reacts with center Jarrett Allen, 31, against the Charlotte Hornets in the second quarter at Barclays Center. Mandatory credit, Nicole Sweet, USA Today Sports, Nicole Sweet, New York. It was 3 weeks ago when the Brooklyn Nets walked off the court after being unable to stop Paul George and prevent the Oklahoma City Thunder from overcoming a 23-point deficit and winning on a buzzer beater. It was the kind of moment that threatened to demoralize the Nets, who felt they were close in most games during an 8-game losing streak. Instead, the Nets became one of the league's hottest teams with 7 straight wins. The streak ended Friday, but the Nets won again Sunday and they seek their 9th win in 10 games Wednesday night, when they host the Charlotte Hornets in the front end of a home-and-home set. SNY Holiday Gift Guide: 0 hours 0 minutes and 43 seconds. With the holiday season upon us, SNY would like to give a gift for a few of the NY sports teams during the season of giving. As we're in the middle of the holiday season, the Nets are on a roll of late, but still own the 10th seed in the East. And this Christmas, we have the perfect gift for you, gifts. You can use these to support your Nets all season long. Check them out below. Brooklyn Nets forward Jared Dudley and guard Spencer Dinwiddie and center Jarrett Allen react in the first quarter against the Phoenix Suns at Barclays Center. Nicole Sweet, USA Today Sports, Spencer Dinwiddie scored 24 points off the bench to lead the Nets to a 111-103 win over the Phoenix Suns on Sunday at Barclays Center. Greater than box score. Things to know about Sunday's Game 1. Dinwiddie made 7 of 14 field goals while D'Angelo Russell scored 18 points as Brooklyn won for the 8th time in its last 9 games. 2. While the Nets made 10 of 27 three-pointers, Phoenix shot 3 for 17 from beyond the arc. Joe Harris went 3 for 7 from three-point range and scored 13 points. December 8, 2018, New York, USA. Brooklyn Nets guard D'Angelo Russell, 1, dribbles the ball against New York Knicks guard Frank Ntilikina, 11, during the second half at Madison Square Garden. Mandatory credit, Andy Marlin, USA Today Sports, Andy Marlin, New York. The Brooklyn Nets finally lost a game. All the plays they were making in the fourth quarter for 2 weeks did not happen, and their longest winning streak in nearly 6 years finally ended Friday night against the Indiana Pacers. On Sunday, they attempt to start a new winning streak when they host the Phoenix Suns. In one of the wildest pendulum swings in team history, the Nets followed an 8-game losing streak from November 21 dec. 5 with 7 straight wins from December 7 dec. 19. The losing streak featured 5 losses by single digits and the winning streak featured 6 wins by single digits. December 21, 2018, Brooklyn, NY, USA. Brooklyn Nets head coach Kenny Atkinson yells at referee Tony Brothers, 25, during the fourth quarter against the Indiana Pacers at Barclays Center. Mandatory credit, Brad Penner, USA Today Sports. Brad Penner, Nets head coach Kenny Atkinson received a $25,000 fine for his quick tirade during Friday night's loss to the Pacers, the league announced Saturday. Atkinson was booked for verbally abusing game officials and failing to leave the court in a timely manner following his ejection. The call came with 1:09 left in the fourth quarter during a play he clearly didn't agree with. He needed to be held back by his assistant coaches, and Spencer Dinwiddie in the incident. The loss last night by Atkinson's club snapped the 7-game win streak Brooklyn amassed over the past week or so. Atkinson will look to stay calm and hopefully lead the Nets to a win on Sunday, when Brooklyn hosts the Suns at 6 p.m. December 21, 2018, Brooklyn, NY, USA. Indiana Pacers shooting guard Victor Oladipo, 4, dunks against Brooklyn Nets small forward Rodion Skurix, 0-0, during the fourth quarter at Barclays Center. Mandatory credit, Brad Penner, USA Today Sports. Brad Penner, New York, AP. Victor Oladipo scored 14 of his 26 points in the fourth quarter. Thaddeus Young added 21, and the Indiana Pacers beat Brooklyn 114-106 Friday night, ending the Nets' 7-game winning streak. Bojan Bogdanović and Domantas Sabonis each added 17 points for the Pacers, who had lost their previous 2. Rookie Rodion Skurix scored a season-high 26 points for Brooklyn, and Amari Carroll added 16. Brooklyn Nets guard Spencer Dinwiddie shoots the ball past Washington Wizards forward Markieff Morris during the second half at Capital One Arena. Amber Searles, USA Today Sports, Chicago, AP, Spencer Dinwiddie scored 27 points off the bench and made a critical defensive play in the final seconds, lifting the Brooklyn Nets over the Chicago Bulls 96-93 on Wednesday night for their 7th consecutive victory. Jarrett Allen had 16 points and 12 rebounds for the resurgent Nets, 15-18, who have put together the NBA's longest active winning streak on the heels of an 8-game skid. Brooklyn was coming off a 115-110 victory at home Tuesday night over LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. Chris Dunn scored 24 points for Chicago, which has the worst record in the league at 7-25 after dropping 12 of its last 14. Bobby Portis added 16 points and 11 rebounds for the Bulls before exiting in the final minute with an apparent leg injury. Chicago led 93-92 before Joe Harris put Brooklyn ahead to stay on a floating bank shot with 43 seconds left. Brooklyn Nets guard D'Angelo Russell moves the ball against Atlanta Hawks guard Trae Young in the first quarter at Barclays Center. Nicole Sweet, USA Today Sports, Chicago. The Brooklyn Nets haven't had as much sustained success as they have strung together in more than 3 years. Never mind that heading into Wednesday's game against the Chicago Bulls, the Nets, 14-18, are 4 games under .500 despite winning 6 straight games. But after Brooklyn used a balanced scoring attack to extend its winning streak with a 115-110 victory over the Los Angeles Lakers on Tuesday, the Nets will attempt to keep rolling in the back end of a back-to-back against Chicago on Wednesday at the United Center. Winning streak came after Brooklyn endured an 8-game slide. Now, Brooklyn has left their past struggles in the rearview mirror. Brad Penner, Jarrett Allen achieved a feat on Tuesday that not many live to tell about. He blocked LeBron James. The Nets center stuffed the Lakers star 2 minutes into Brooklyn's 115-110 victory over Los Angeles, its 6th straight win, and joined rare company in doing so. December 7, 2018, Brooklyn, NY, USA. Brooklyn Nets forward Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, 24, and Brooklyn Nets center Jarrett Allen, 31, celebrate after defeating the Toronto Raptors 106-105 in overtime at Barclays Center. Mandatory credit, Noah K. Murray, USA Today Sports, Noah K. Murray, New York, AP. D'Angelo Russell had 22 points and a career-high-tying 13 assists against his former team, and the Brooklyn Nets ran the NBA's longest winning streak to 6 games by beating the Los Angeles Lakers 115-110 on Tuesday night. Joe Harris added 19 points and Spencer Dinwiddie scored 18 for the Nets, who last won 6 in a row from March 25 to April 3, 2015. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson finished with 17 points and Jared Dudley made some big baskets down the stretch to score 13. LeBron James bounced back from his lowest scoring game of the season with 36 points, 13 rebounds and 8 assists, but the Lakers finished 1-3 on their road trip. Kyle Kuzma had 22 points and 11 rebounds, while Lonzo Ball scored 23 points. November 20, 2018, Miami, Florida, USA. Brooklyn Nets guard Spencer Dinwiddie, 8, dribbles the ball against the Miami Heat during the second half at American Airlines Arena. Mandatory credit, Jason Vinlove, USA Today Sports, Jason Vinlove, New York. The Brooklyn Nets are on their longest winning streak in 3.5 years, 5 games, and next up is a meeting with LeBron James. Except for this time, it will not be in the colors of the Cleveland Cavaliers but the purple and gold of the Los Angeles Lakers. James makes his latest visit to Brooklyn Tuesday night, when the Lakers visit the Nets, who are on a 5-game winning streak. Brooklyn Nets guard D'Angelo Russell moves the ball against Atlanta Hawks guard Trae Young in the first quarter at Barclays Center. Nicole Sweet, USA Today Sports. D'Angelo Russell scored a game-high 32 points to lead the Nets to their 5th straight win with a 144-127 victory over the Atlanta Hawks on Sunday at Barclays Center. Greater than box score.